So you're probably doing the work, you have improved things in your relationship, and just when things start to get better, something goes wrong. Inevitably, it feels like one step forward, two steps back. You're learning the skills, and then she's softening, she's leaning in, and inevitably, you crack a joke, you say the wrong thing. You end up getting into an argument all over again, kind of licking your wounds. Suddenly, you're back to laying in bed together side by side, but it feels like you're miles apart all over again. So that's not random. And it's not because there's anything wrong with you or your partner. Really, it's your brain that's doing exactly what it thinks will protect you, even if it's costing you connection in your marriage. Now, most guys, they call that self-sabotage. But I really want to flip that for you because 9 times out of 10, what you think is self-sabotage isn't sabotage at all. Today, I really want to break this down for you. Why does progress in marriage feels like it's one step forward, two steps back? Why is consistency so hard, especially at the beginning when we're trying to rebuild connection with the person that matters most to us? And I want to talk about how your brain often is obsessed with what's familiar, even if what's familiar totally sucks. And then I'm going to talk about the difference between making a mistake and how to repair and what actually sabotaging yourself looks like. And of course, how can you stop pulling back, protecting yourself? How can you interrupt your brain and your body so you can actually build the closeness you want? And so I'll give an example here with a story of Kate and I, my wife. So when Kate and I were rebuilding years ago, I used to mess up constantly, right? I was in this part where I was constantly trying to do new things and figure out what would work. She'd made a bid for connection and I would just miss it. Or even I'd get defensive about something, right? I would flat out just say the wrong thing. And here's what I want you to get. That is not sabotage. Messing up is perfectly normal. Accept it. Every man does it. The difference is what you do after you mess up, right? If you repair, in that moment, if I said, hey, I'm sorry, I got defensive, can we reset? That's actually a sign of progress. Sabotage is totally different, right? Sabotage is when closeness rises and you actively choose to kill it. Not by accident, but on purpose, making a cutting joke or criticizing her when she's trying to open up. Maybe you're starting a disconnection cycle in a fight in order to create distance. That's really your fear that's disguised as control. So let me ask you, are you confusing just simple mistakes you're making with sabotage in your marriage? Because if you are, you're probably beating yourself up when you should actually be celebrating the progress of making a mistake and repairing. Because that's a huge move in creating more connection in your relationship. Now, when you think about consistency and why it feels so hard, I'll give you a bit of an analogy. Your brain is built for familiarity. And so whatever you've done for years, you learn to adapt to keep yourself safe, whether it's pulling away, shutting down, overreacting, right? Imagine that like a superhighway in your brain, right? It's smooth, it's automatic, it takes little effort to jump onto that superhighway and go the distance. But new behaviors, right? Staying open, repairing, leading in, those are like the dirt road that you have to take on the side, right? They're bumpy, they take effort, you don't really know where it's going to go. You're kind of, every part of you is like trying to get back to the superhighway. But here's the kicker. Every single time you actively choose to take that dirt road, you're reinforcing that path. That dirt road turns to a gravel road, turns into a paved road, turns into a highway, which turns into the new superhighway. And that's how change works. Now, here's the trap. Most men think going back to the old highway means you've failed. It's like, oh, I'll never get over this. I'm broken. But it doesn't. It just means that the new way is not quite paved yet. That's why consistency, especially at the beginning, can feel so brutal. That's why men need support, need accountability, and need vision in order to move forward and be consistent with their behavior change. And this is where it gets deeper too, right? Because a lot of what feels like sabotage isn't actually sabotage at all. It's actually old attachment strategies, right? Think about like adaptations that used to work with us, but no longer are working. Like if you grew up in a home where being close to somebody wasn't safe, maybe you protect yourself by pulling away. That's what we call avoidant attachment. If love was unpredictable, right, you cling to it whenever you get it. We call that anxious attachment. But those are patterns of survival. The problem is what kept you safe as a kid is now keeping you stuck as a husband. That's why we call it maladaptive behavior, right? I see this with men I coach all the time, right? There's this one guy, he goes silent whenever his wife softened, right? Like he didn't know what to do when his wife opened up to him and started getting connection. And that silence was how he survived in relationship with his dad when he was young, right? His dad would press and press and press and get intense. And the more silent that young boy became, the safer it got. So that's not sabotage, right? It's just adaptation. And in this moment, what would happen was when his wife got close to him, right, it brought up tension in his body. And when the tension came up in his body, his mind said, ooh, we got to shut down here and get quiet so this tension can go away. So that was just a protective mechanism that was now sabotaging the intimacy in his relationship and was making him unavailable to his wife. So what is actual sabotage? It's when love is available to you and you choose to kill it. Like imagine Kate flirting with me after we've been away for maybe a week or two. And instead of leaning into that, I crack a joke and I shut it down. Like, oh, what are you doing? You're being all weird, right? What I'm doing is I'm choosing the predictability of distance over the closeness, which feels unfamiliar. Or the mindset of, why do I even bother? This is going to go nowhere, right? And I have this core negative image of her, like she's just playful and flirting, but inevitably it means nothing. And these are ways that I actively sabotage the connection in my relationship because of the way that I'm thinking and believing things. And all sabotage has the exact same root, which is fear of vulnerability, choosing safety and control over connection. All of us as humans, we do this because too much closeness creates intensity. This is what intimacy is and why it can be so challenging. And so really important to understand that setbacks don't mean sabotage, right? They're friction. And friction is proof that you're building that new road, right? That you're creating these new pathways in your brain and that you are changing. So stop labeling every mistake as sabotage and instead ask yourself, how am I going to repair this? How am I reinforcing this new gravel road? And if you're doing that, you're winning. Because discomfort is the price of admission to a meaningful life. Progress doesn't feel good at first. It feels uncomfortable. And in the middle, it's going to feel messy. But at the end, it feels great. And I remember, even in my own relationship, when I had a lot of shame and Kate would come in and hug me and try to help me, instead of relaxing, I just felt totally exposed. So I wanted to retreat. I'd push her away. Say, hey, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm good. Everything's good. But really, I had this deep shame. And instead of opening up about my shame, which was good and healthy and brought connection, I protected myself because I didn't want Kate to see me as a failure. And this is why a lot of men, we retreat. We confuse discomfort with danger. We feel tension in our body. We're like, danger here, so we shut down. But remember, discomfort is the price of admission to growth. So let me ask you, where do you bail when discomfort shows up? Or where do you try to control the situation when you feel uncomfortable? Those are two losing strategies. Where do you step back from love or try to suffocate it when your body feels a bit uncomfortable and tense? And if you want to learn how to stop sabotaging your connection, this is kind of the how-to. How do you move away from sabotage or from letting your brain take over and keeping you stuck and instead start building? Well, the first thing is you have to notice the pattern. Right? Pay attention to your reflex, your reaction. When closeness rises, do you lean in or do you step back? Right? Number two is when you make a mistake, repair quickly. Conflict isn't failure. Avoiding repair is failure. So saying something like, hey, I got defensive. Can we reset? Really sorry about that. That one line will change everything. Right? It gives your partner an opportunity to step into the closeness. The next one is practice recreating that new pathway over and over and over again. The shift becomes you have to pick a skill, which is the first step, that you're going to practice, which is the second step, which will become a state that you can lean into. and then eventually become a character trait that you will just have. And that's what growth is all about. And now the last part is lean into the discomfort. Discomfort is a sign that you're growing. So you want to move towards it. Now, I'm not saying you have to be a masochist and go out of your way to just hurt yourself all the time and put yourself in situations that just suck. But understand that in order to grow and change things, you have to learn to get uncomfortable because that is growth. And so you're probably not sabotaging love because there's anything wrong with you. You're probably sabotaging it because that closeness feels unfamiliar or unsafe. And you can rewire that. You can build a new superhighway for intimacy, for vulnerability, for becoming a strong, emotionally available man. Because that's what society needs more of. And you don't just want to do this for her. You do it for your kids, to see a man who doesn't run from love, but leans into it. You do it for yourself so you can look yourself in the mirror and feel proud. You do it for your family, for your home, for the world. Because the world needs more men who are emotionally in tune and are able to openly connect with others in an intimate way. Now, if you want to take this at a deeper level, you can click the description down below. I have a free blueprint that you can use, and that's going to help you learn specific skills to improve the way you love and you lead in your relationship. If you want that, there's a free link down below. You can grab it, just drop in your email, and I'll send you a bunch of videos over a few days so you can learn and implement these skills. And of course, if you got value from this, I'd love it if you could subscribe so you can come back every week and learn some new skills on how to learn and love better in your relationship. Cheers.